Vesta and Dino were performing experiments together. I was told that they were recording data from the 1000 growth capsules. Additionally, when they had spare time, they left to examine Kurobe's slotted weapons and his interchangeable magic crystal enchantments. The reason for their sudden interest was because I bragged about it. If the outcome of the research went well, it may even contribute to the construction of the elemental colossus. That explained why Vesta was eager to start his own investigation on magic marble combination. I gave Dino a couple of magic marbles as samples to play around with, while Vesta would observe and jot down detailed notes. Noticing Dino's displeasure when I called him over to relax with us, it became obvious that he was enjoying research. It was work, but the line between work and play had blurred. Dino would go on some tangent about not wanting to be productive, yet he seemed to have already assimilated into this professional workplace without realizing. It is imperative to enjoy your work. Next. As I finished the last of my coffee, I turned to face Ramiris. By the way, Ramiris, why were you in such a hurry to complete the bodies for possession? I asked rather directly. About that. Ramiris was dodging the question. Coming to her aid, Trainee-san interjected, please hold on, Rimuru-sama. Ramiris-sama was doing this for my sisters and companions. She was simply trying her best for them. I didn't mean to chide her, but Trainee-san mistook my intentions and tried very hard to defend her. She was usually like this as well. To be honest, I thought Trainee-san outright spoiled Ramiris. It's not that, I just wanted to know her reasons. I'm not scolding her, don't worry. So, why did you do it, Ramiris? I attempted to calm Trainee-san down, and continued to question Ramiris for her rationale. Now that I have some time to think it over, I was being too rash. These children admire me a lot, so I wanted them to get their own bodies earlier. This way, they would be happy, and we would also get extra help. The more the merrier, right? Ramiris was quite embarrassed as she answered. I could empathize with her motivation. The Dryads could move freely around the labyrinth without a body, whereas the Treants couldn't. Although Treants retained the ability to reposition near where they were rooted, they couldn't possibly leave the forest and enter areas without soil. Essentially, without a body, their mana would steadily dissipate over time, which was detrimental to their well-being. The same concept applied to the Dryads, where if they were too far away from their corpus, then their strength would greatly diminish as well. They were considered high-tier species among the rank A monsters, and much stronger than greater magians. If the same restrictions also applied to the Dryads, then demanding more from the Treants, a lower species, would be far too cruel. From Ramiris's point of view, with the dolls that were cultivated in the growth capsules, not only the Dryads, but even the Treants would possess the capability to effortlessly travel in the future. That was probably why she wanted to test her idea out on some of the dolls behind my back. If that's the case, you could have discussed it with me. Diablo hasn't come back yet, and there's no telling how many subordinates that guy will bring. If there aren't enough, we can always make more later. Let's first prepare the bodies for the Dryads, I suggested with a genial tone. Can we really? Ramiris excitedly inquired. Of course. Thank you, Rimuru. She flitted around me, overjoyed. To be fair, this decision was also made with my best interests in mind. We truly lacked the number of people necessary to operate efficiently. Trainee-san's sisters, as well as the other Dryads, were all assisting with running the labyrinth and its related matters. They were already busy enough as is and couldn't spare any more time. If this were to continue, everyone would be overworked, since administering the labyrinth required 24/7 attention. That was why I desperately needed more staff to fill in the shifts. With these state-of-the-art bodies, even the Treants would rise to rank A, and be able to move unhindered inside the labyrinth. Furthermore, in the rare case that their bodies were destroyed, their original corpus wouldn't be harmed. However, they could only travel as far as their willpower allowed in essence, only within the confines of Ramiris's labyrinth, but that was sufficient. As for the Dryads. By the way, we should turn Trias-san, Triss, Alpha, and the rest of the Dryads all into Dryas dolls. Huh. Is it really okay? Trainee-san launched her question at me with terrifying fervor, all before I could even finish my proposal. Can we really do that, Rimuru? Ramiris nervously asked, completely ignoring Dino and the others who were unfortunately left out of the discussion. Can we do what? That, evolving them into Dryas doll Dryads. But wouldn't that take a lot of work? I suppose, but they've also contributed their fair share. I hope they will continue to help us with the labyrinth's management in the future as well. All because Rimuru-sama allowed us to live here. Since Ramiris-sama is determined to support Rimuru-sama, we naturally will follow Ramiris-sama's wishes as her subordinates. Trainee-san admitted. After hearing my reply to Ramiris, Trainee-san seemed rather guilty. With that being said, we benefited tremendously from the Dryads' involvement within the labyrinth. In a sense, this was my token of appreciation for them. I wanted to give them the opportunity to act on their own. Although it required handcrafting humanoid dolls, I was quite keen on matters involving creating dolls for beauties or bishouhos. I originally planned on using the same bodies I had prepared for Diablo, but that would seem like a cheap gesture. Dryads should use wooden dolls. No, you guys really helped out a lot, so please enjoy these. And whether they wish to directly possess these bodies or become a Dryad's doll Dryad by possessing extra wood from their original tree host, the choice will be up to them. I proposed to Trainee-san. She nodded happily. Ramiris muttered on the side, "Hey you, why are you more polite talking to Trainee-chan than to me? I won't take that. But I'll just pretend I never heard that." As soon as break time was over, Vesta and the others returned to work. Looks like this place is beyond my field of expertise, but it's still very fun. I'll go finish my work now. Let's go, Vesta-san. Understood, Dino-sama. And somewhere along the line, Dino put emphasis on the word work as he left with Vesta. This guy had clearly never done anything productive until he came here. He was a waste of space before, but since he'd been working hard, I would overlook his past behavior. Speaking of which, I needed to work on my own stuff as well. Hold on, Rimuru. I have something to ask of you. Ramiris, it's time to fulfill your part of the bargain. I guessed that he was going to trouble me with something, so I was trying to run away. It appeared Veldora had been waiting for the moment right after break time ended. And what is it that you need me for? Truthfully, I really didn't want to do it, but I still begrudgingly replied, nonetheless. The thing is. Mentor said he wanted an assistant. It will be a good thing if we have more people to help, that's why I also, have a favor to ask. My ominous feeling came true. More hassle was headed my way. We're already understaffed right now, so who could we possibly spare to be Veldora's playmate? No, everyone is very busy. They don't have time to hang out with you. Wait a second. Rimuru, you got it all wrong. I have been helping Ramiris and guarding the labyrinth, all very important tasks. If I can have an assistant at my side and praise me from time to time, then it will have quite the therapeutic effect. That way, I wouldn't be exhausted quickly, Veldora passionately argued. Ramiris displayed her support with vigorous nods. However, since I already heard every bit of their conversation just moments ago, I could only think you really do stick to your end of the bargain. But, since no one available came to mind, I would have to end that train of thought. No. Unfortunately. Hold on. I was interrupted yet again. Veldora apparently did not want to back off. He was adamantly standing his ground. To be honest, when I was staying inside your stomach I met someone whom I can call a friend. I hope that you can give him a body just like the ones you are preparing here, Veldora suddenly revealed. I was clueless. What kind of friend are you talking about here? Answer. The individual is deduced to be the greater spirit Ifrit. How did Veldora befriend Ifrit? Answer. Individual Veldora intervened at the time to move Ifrit to the same isolated position during Master's predation. I see, it is exactly what Raphael-san described. When I consumed Ifrit from Shizu-san, he was moved to the space in my stomach where Veldora had been isolated. This, however, did not affect us from taking Ifrit's data. That's why Raphael-sensei, or Great Sage at the time, did not resist the change and allowed it without notifying me. Since it wasn't an inconvenience, I only discovered this fact just now. That is to say, unbeknownst to me, Veldora befriended Ifrit. So you want me to revive Ifrit? Gahahaha. As expected from Rimuru, you understood me so quickly. Veldora-san was delighted, but on the other hand, I had mixed feelings. Ifrit and Shizu-san were totally incompatible with each other, and he was also Demon Lord Leon's subordinate. If I were to revive Ifrit, would he play nice? With this thought in mind, I couldn't just agree to his proposal so easily. So that's a no. Rimuru, I want to ask you to. Please fulfill Mentor's wish. While I deliberated, Veldora gazed at me with sad puppy eyes, whereas Ramiris pleaded for her mentor's sake. What a headache. I was quite troubled with this turn of events. To be honest, I preferred having more people to work for us, but I just didn't feel safe releasing Ifrit. Despite his modest appearance, he was still head and shoulders above any second-rate greater magician in terms of strength. Although we would win if he were to start a fuss, damage would be inevitable. He might even end up fleeing back to Leon. I wouldn't want to wake a sleeping baby. I figured it was understandable for me to think this way. However, Ifrit seemed to have pledged his loyalty to Demon Lord Leon before. Are you really sure he's willing to be your assistant after being revived? That's definitely the case. You don't have to worry about it. My sincerity has moved Ifrit. That guy really is willing to be my assistant, Veldora hurriedly reassured. Or, seriously? For a brief second, Veldora seemed like he was talking to someone. It had to be Ifrit himself. In other words, Veldora was communicating with him in my body in some unknown fashion. Were you just talking to Ifrit? Yeah, I can do anything. Mentor is super amazing. He asked Ifrit to summon a bunch of flame salamanders for the Magi train. That's why we should plan for the future and make him one of our companions. Trilled Ramiris. I see how it is. Indeed, within the labyrinth itself, Ramiris could summon spears at will with ease. However, once the Magi train commenced operations, it would be much more reassuring if someone could actually command the salamanders. I really couldn't refuse the proposal from a profit standpoint. Moreover, Veldora personally guaranteed that he would take care of Ifrit. I suppose I will put my faith in Veldora. Alright, since you are so convinced, just make sure you take responsibility for the whole thing. Alright, just leave it to me. This is great, mentor. Veldora and Ramiris were hyped up like I was going to buy them a pat or something. Hopefully, my faith in Veldora being responsible wouldn't backfire. Then let's... Right, Rimuru. Don't we still have the shell of the magic core of Charybdis? That contains the remainder of my mana, so it can adapt to my power easily. Ifrit has been submerged in my Yauki for a long time, so using that as a core would be better. According to Veldora, the compatibility would work better than an emulated soul. Answer. I agree with the views of individual Veldora. Since Raphael had agreed, I had no reason to object. Okay, then we will use this body for Ifrit to take over. I stood in front of the growth capsule that had just been repaired before our break.